Yeah. I'm proud to be a nerd. Let's go. Okay. Call me what you want, but I'm proud to be a nerd. I'm a level 99, but you've already heard. Yeah. DVD sets of Star Wars, Star Trek, and Battlestar Galactica, only the best. I spend all my money instead of paying rent. I'm a hardcore gamer with no place to live, but I swear I'm good as long as I can play all of my games. You could game to my cardboard box and watch me play.
Hey, and welcome back to the Gaming Lately Show. Today my guest is the one and only Dan Gheesling. He usually does YouTube videos through gaming on Star Citizen, space and sci-fi games, and previews of other games. And you pretty much will know him as the winner of Big Brother 10 alongside these live streams. Dan, how are you?
I'm doing excellent. How are you?
Pretty good. So today we're talking a lot about the big hype surrounding PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. How'd you get into the game? How'd you start hearing about the game? Because usually you were before playing Star Citizen and, like we said, space and sci-fi games. So how'd you move into this direction?
Yeah, so I was always a big fan of H1Z1 King of the Kill, and then, that kind of hit kind of a bumpy road towards the end, but I was playing Star Citizen. I actually got an email about PlayerUnknown's Battleground, and to be honest, I saw the initial cover with the guy in a shirt and tie and a weird helmet. I'm like, this is kind of goofy, so I just kind of overlooked it.
Yeah.
And then I can't remember where I saw it first, but I'd seen someone playing it on Twitch. I think they had a preview week, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I overlooked this game. And then immediately was drawn to it, because essentially all they did, they took the concept behind King of the Kill, which I knew it initially came from an Arma 3 mod, and then just really, I think, perfected it and made it less arcadey and a little more simulation-y.
Yeah, so you like that sort of general style. Had you, other than like H1, had you played other games like that, or had you sort of like this one, maybe overlooked them in the past too?
Yeah, so to me, I've always been drawn to games where there's a severe consequence. So in the early days, that first consequence type game I played was Ultima Online, and then later Counter-Strike when it was a mod for Half-Life. I just liked the opportunity when you got a shot to either save your team, or really, it's not just a game where you just keep regenerating and coming back. It's there's a lot of consequence within the game and every decision you make, and I've always been drawn to that style of game. So when this came out, it's just, I tell people, I really, my free time is really, just like everyone else, is really valuable. And there's not a whole lot of games that I play off camera or not for YouTube or Twitch, but this is probably the first game in 5 years that I've played not for YouTube, just on the side, because it's so much fun.
Oh wow! And so that definitely fits into your play style then, I guess, when you're looking for games. So once this is actually released, because it's still early access. For those who don't know, PlayerUnknown is still in early access through Steam. So once it actually is released in full force, do you plan on still playing the game as much? Do you think, as they keep adding things, you're just going to keep coming back? Have they added anything that made you sort of about the game, or?
Yeah, so the way I look at it is all right, in a pre-release state, it's a lot of fun, and really what I like about the development cycle, what they've done is, they're in constant communication with the players. That there's a weekly update. But I think maybe most impressively is the fact that haven't monetized inside the game yet. So people would buy crates, people would put money into it right now, but I really like their stance on they're not doing it yet. And I think because they're waiting for the full release, and just kind of shows whether it's altruistic or they know it will work out better for them in the end. It just shows an understanding of what the community really wants. And I don't think anyone right now, would bat an eyelash about buying crates within PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, but the fact they're holding it back, and so I think, it's a finished product. I just think it's really telling for how much they care about the players playing the game.
Yeah, that's true. And are there any changes that maybe you would like to see them move forward to? I know that was a very very positive aspect that they're doing already, but there more that you'd like to see them change, or do you think they're on a good course so far?
Yeah, so I think, like, early on there were some latency problems and some desync, and I think they've made some progress in that, and I'm sure, whether you play the game or not, but people play it, like, if you get killed and you feel it's kind of unfair, you tend to blame, like, the latency or desync, and I'm sure they'll get better and better in that as they go on, and I don't really have a concern for that. But what I would like to see, and I'm sure it's just a matter of time, is just that crate type stuff. I think the core of the game's pretty good. They have a little bit of work to do on the net code, things of that nature. But just, I'm really into like the visuals and cosmetics in the game. So I think me, as long as a lot of other PUBG players are really looking forward to them kind of opening that up a little bit.
Yeah, and I want to talk too about the since you mentioned what other players are looking forward to, like really just the strategy of going in. In a couple of your videos too, where you you did a short one where it's just duo matchups, just jump in with random people. How have you found like the community of players? I mean, beyond just like people who are generally negative. How have you found like the community of players in the game?
Yes, I think as long as I really think there's not a whole lot that a game can do to combat a game in which there's open mics, right? Meaning, so you're always going to have. No, I guess I stand corrected. There's always things you can do to report people, but really what I've found, because I've really kind of found like kind of a niche or something I really enjoy is I play with a group of 3 friends, but then I'll play randomly I'll just queue with someone in a random queue and do duos, and I have to say like 90% of the people I play with are really engaging and are willing to work together, as opposed to, anytime you play a game online with someone you don't know, you just, it tends to, you don't want to say it tends to default to be a troll game, but you never know. Yeah. And I really haven't experienced much of that in PUBG, except when you're standing in the middle of the lobby when everyone spawns in. Oh, yeah. But I don't know what you can do to combat that.
Well, yeah, that one's just a free-for-all at that point, too. Firing at each other and everything. But, so what about once you're in these duos or in your actual like squads like that, do you like the general like layout of how they strategize? People come in, so working together with the team, you like decide where you're gonna drop off from, where you're going, what's your next move? Do you like that sort of like? It seems like a fluid strategy that like a lot of games really can't get right. They want to implement that, but like PlayerUnknown, I feel does that pretty well. Do you agree with that or?
Yeah, I think, they've taken a simple concept, a seemingly simple concept of a battle royale type game, where they just found a way to, like, solve all these little problems that I think, I'm not a game designer, and I don't think you are either, to my knowledge, but, like, just the problem of, like, of how they've implemented, we call it the gas or, the electric wall, and I just feel like they've found a way to make it as fun as possible with the least amount of downtime in between games. And, I'm sure there's always going to be tweaks and balance issues between, like, what kind of drops and how often things spawn or where they spawn. But in terms of, like, the structure of the game, I just think they've done it right. And I think, the numbers aren't lying. I think it was last week they announced that I think over 4 million people had bought the game, and this is early access. And then I just saw them tweet, I think a day or two ago, that for the first time, like, they had surpassed Counter-Strike Go for the most concurrent players, even for a short time. But still, for a game that's, relatively new, that's extremely impressive.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the next move to really encompass what the game is about is like strategy wise. So what is, maybe you can give listeners out there the Dan Gheesling strategy once you spawn in, either in duo, whatever the mode is. What's your like go to? Like, what are you like as soon as you drop in? What are you looking for? What are you going for?
Yeah, so for me, like, there's like probably like 3 or 4 tenant locations and like solid locations that I like to go to. And really, I'm not the best. I'm really not the best person to be taking strategy advice from. But just I'm not that good of a player. It's just fun. And so, like, I guess the other thing too is like it's fun watching yourself get incrementally or marginally better. But like, I like call it hospital, like going to hospitals. Just I like going to places where it's just, it's going to be a high activity, and if you can survive that first wave, and whether it's a handful of people or a lot of people, then you're kind of set up to make a run at the game. But I guess the funny thing is, I couldn't tell you how many games I've played, but I could probably tell you on two hands how many games I've won. But it doesn't matter. I mean, like, it's like, that's the true story. It doesn't, like, yeah, you love to win, and, like, you always try to win, but it's still fun. I think, like, my win, like, percentage has got to be somewhere around, like, 1% of the games that I play.
Mm-hmm. And, I mean, it really speaks to the game, too, that you can, win or lose, you're still coming back for more because, like you said, just a fun game to play.
It's just engaging, and that style of game is just really appeals to me, and I think the fact that, like, because if you play a game and you're constantly losing, most of the time, like, you're not gonna want to play it anymore. But this one, like, gives you just enough hope, or like, where you're like, oh, if I just would have hit this shot, or if I would have looted this, or if I would have dropped here, or if that guy would have. There's so many what ifs that make it fun.
So I want to talk about the LSS Crew. They're, I mean, beyond your commentary, they're giving, like, solid commentary in all of these episodes. You just had episode 101 came out not long ago. How's it been playing from the very beginning, so all the way back to episode 1 to now 100 episodes later? How's it been playing and recording since the beginning?
Well, typically when, like, I've done collaborations in the past, typically they may go, like, a good one will go maybe around, like, 30 episodes. And, we've dealt with a little, like, inter-squad salt, like, because the crew is so different. Like, I'm very, like, I joke around a lot, and then Ryan does. So I think there's, like, a scale. So at the top, you have, his name's Lance Gribble. He's, like, the best player in the group, and I'd probably say the most serious. And then there's another guy, his name's Melf. He's, like, a step down. And then there's Ryan, who's, like, in the middle, like, serious and, like, joking around. Then I'm kind of on the bottom of the scale, like, not very good, but joke around. So it makes for such an interesting dynamic. But even playing, like, after recording 100 episodes together, it's still the game that I look forward to recording the most with them, because you just never know what's going to happen, and it's just fun, and there's always going to be some, like, salt in the group, but at the end we just we keep coming back for more, and I think it's just a testament to how fun the game is.
Yeah, maybe. And do you have, like, maybe any, like, tips for people who maybe they want to form up their own an LSS crew for their own hometown, or their, if they're just joining in on their own, maybe their friends don't have the game. What were your ideas for, like, finding that crew, matching up, and then, like, the game styles that you're going to, your strategy going into it?
Yeah, so you're talking about specifically for PUBG, right?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, so really, I mean, what I would do, and this is what I would, like, I'm even remotely considering doing, is when I've been playing, like, random duos with people, like, probably half the games that I play, like, you connect with someone, you're like, wow, we really played well off each other, or that person was fun to, like, be in a duo with. And so just play the game, and then, but I would say, like, just be a little more, not aggressive, but put a little more effort in the communication in the game, and you'll find that people are really receptive to that, because, I don't know, it's just, like, if I didn't have that crew to play with, without a doubt, some of these people I play these random duos with, I would play with them, even though I don't know them, even though I don't even know if they have a YouTube channel or not. It's just fun playing with certain individuals. Yeah.
And, yeah, communication, a huge part of this game. Like we said earlier, the open mic system that they have. Does any of the Big Brother strategy come in while you're in the open mics? The Dan mist flowing over anybody to sort of help you get along farther in the game?
Yeah, I've tried. Like, there's been some times when, like, I know I'm, like, cornered, and, like, I will try to go over comms and say, hey, look, don't kill me. I'll show you my teammates. It's just as, like, a way to try and stay alive. Yeah. And it doesn't really work. However, what I try to do is, like, if there's, like, a normal style situation, whether 1v1 or, 2v1, like, I try to, every now and then, try to do something completely random that's not, that people look at and be like, wow, that's not very smart. Why would you do that? And I just try to do that because, I would say, like, I'm a slightly below average player. And so if you could do something crazy that the other person doesn't expect, then at least it may try to even the playing field a little bit.
Yeah. So maybe just as like a final, like a wrap up sort of thing for people who haven't played the game yet, maybe they're considering playing the game, they're not sure because it is still in early access for this long. What would be your advice for either, should they buy the game, and then if they do buy the game, what to look forward to, what to be aware of going in?
Yeah, for an early access game, I would definitely recommend it. It's a lot more polished than even some finished games. If you're really into like a survival, high consequence type game, I just feel like this is, this is, I guess, a bold statement. I feel like it's kind of like the next Counter-Strike or the next League of Legends. I just feel like it has that kind of staying power where, I think people have been waiting for a new genre of game and to be done very well. And I think what they've shown, what Blue Hole and that team has showed is that they're going to really listen to the player base, and I think this is going to be it's going to be like the next Counter-Strike. I just wholeheartedly believe that, and I think you can see it in like the rabid fan base and how much excitement there is, and how many people enjoy not only playing it but also watching it.
Exactly, and thanks, Dan, for joining us with Gaming Lately. Don't go anywhere, though, because we'll be right back with the Gaming Lately show. Thanks, guys.